Hey, what's up, everyone? So today I'm gonna introduce you to 57th opening is Bhagat. I'm not exactly sure why this is named as Bhagat. It could be after a player, but yeah, if you have any information, feel free to leave a comment below and share the history. Um, as you know, this is quite an interesting opening. It's a very unique one that I think it's as early as a shaman opening in terms of the variation from black. It also starts off with a very rose based variation. This basically surprises the opponent quite a bit and limits options for your opponent as white. So I would recommend this for advanced players and above. And basically you have to sacrifice a bit of advantage just to provide that surprise factor. So the entire sequence starts off with f5, d6, c5, which is the standard rose sequence entering f4, e3, c6, which is the typical response from white as an opponent if you were to play rose. So over here, instead of going for the typical d3, you go for d7 instead, and you just jump out here. So the most common response over here from white is often for white to just jump right into e6 to regroup. So that is the natural response from white. And effectively thereafter you would just take the one disc flip. The usual continuation goes like this: f6, and it's not difficult for white to actually derive d3. So often this is the case when the sequence plays out. And over here I would say that all three are playable options for black. I would say that c7 is the typical response from black, or typical sequence from a baguette player. So another typical sequence might be f3. So let's talk about c7 first. So c7, usually it's also not difficult for white to just follow up g5. So when I talk about counterintuitive for white, it's actually referring to after the e7 sequence. So after you play e7 to just jump right in, it's fairly easy to derive this sequence, but over here, it's a lot harder for white to kind of carry on in terms of what's the best sequence. So even though these are reflecting maybe +3, +2, somewhat fluctuating, it's actually a very small advantage for white, and it can be easily overturned by black. So this is an interesting opening. So typically, as white, you if you're following the guidelines of flipping one disc in one direction, you might be able to reach d2, f2, or b5. I think b5 is probably one of the most common sequence, because if you were to play d2 and allow black to say take g6, and if you follow up with this, black can go with two consecutive moves over here, which is probably not something we want at this point in time. So I think b5 is the usual sequence, and it's a lot easy for black to just try to remain in the center, with g6 and b4 being very good options. So b4, black can go for the consecutive b4 and c4 combination. So it's usually quite hard. It puts white a little bit out of position and a lot easier for black to just follow through the continuation. So you can see that the overall shape seems to favor black in terms of positioning wise. So it's a lot harder for white to actually select good moves for this opening. So I would say that you really have to go deep in book to prepare for this one. But once you have it and you are able to play it really deep, I think it would potentially give you quite a bit of advantage. So I would recommend this for maybe advanced players for black, but potentially if you're a beginner or novice, you can also explore this opening. It's not a common opening, but yet still very playable and quite easy to derive the best moves as black. So why not give it a try?